We're following some breaking news from the Supreme Court where the justices have issued a ruling on Texas's controversial abortion law. They're allowing challenges to the law to go forward. Jessica Levinson joins us now to break down the court's rulings. Jessica, explain this decision to us. It is sort of a partial victory for the abortion providers, but not a complete one.
A very partial victory. So let me start with what the court was considering. The court was considering here who can sue and be sued to try and stop Texas's controversial 6-week ban on abortion. So this case was never styled as, is this particular law unconstitutional? We all know that it's unconstitutional under the current framework. As we've talked about just a few weeks ago, that framework could change by the end of June. But this is a decision that came out this morning, a really fractured court just telling us who can sue to stop this law and who can be sued to stop this law. And the punchline is that the answer is actually quite narrow.
Yeah, I thought when I read about this a little earlier, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the decision really only applies to the specific cases that were being discussed right now. Like, it's not sort of across the board, it's the specific lawsuits that were filed. So then the question is, what sort of impact will this have on Texas's abortion law then?
So, right, this is a case about suits, which suits can move forward. So the real question here is, can it be, there was one case dealing with, as you mentioned, the Department of Justice, the federal government suing the state of Texas. The Supreme Court says no. The federal government, you can't sue Texas to stop enforcement of this particular law. Then there were another set of suits, and that's where we see a really fractured decision this morning. And that in those set of suits, it's by abortion providers suing different state officials. They sued state clerks, they sued the state attorney general, state judges, and the state medical licensing board members. Of all of that group of people, it looks like the court only got 8 members. So the only place where they got a majority was 8 members said, abortion providers, go ahead and sue the medical licensing board. But the question here was, is there any state official that abortion providers can sue? Because again, this is a law where it's not the state enforcing the law, it's other people suing to enforce it. So that one suit can go forward. The implications are big. It means that, in fact, this case will not evade review, that there is at least one group who can sue another group to say, stop this law from going into effect. And the court was not able to get a majority, as far as I can see based on the past few minutes, on anything other than that narrow suit goes forward.
So there's another case, Jessica, that people have their eyes on, and that's what's happening in Mississippi. And I wonder if you could explain to our viewers the similarities, or perhaps not, that exist within these two laws, and could we see different rulings from the high courts?
Absolutely. Two very, very different laws in some ways. The thing that they have in common is that they're both restrictive abortion laws that would not be constitutional under our current framework, which comes from a 1992 case called Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Really briefly, our current framework is women have the right to obtain an abortion pre-viability, which is at about 24 weeks, as long as, and states cannot impose more than an undue burden. States can impose some restrictions, but they can't impose an undue burden. Now, the Mississippi law prohibits all abortions after 15 weeks. Obviously, 15 weeks before 24 weeks, a prohibition is a lot stricter than restrictions. That law is unconstitutional under our current framework. But what we heard on December 1st is the Supreme Court hearing arguments about whether or not to uphold that law. I think that I count at least 5 justices of the court to say, yes, we should not only uphold Mississippi's law, but in doing so, we will overrule Roe v. Wade, which means that in this country, we will no longer have a constitutionally protected right to an abortion. What does that mean in the Texas case? Texas's case obviously is even stricter than Mississippi. It's a 6-week ban on abortions. It means that Texas could move forward with its particular, with its law. Now, if the court, in reviewing the Mississippi case, says, okay, 15 weeks is okay. We're not saying if anything less than 15 weeks is okay. Then we continue litigating the Texas case. Then we continue determining, well, if 15 weeks is okay, what about 6 weeks? So those are basically the two realistic paths.
Thank you very much for sort of clarifying what this all means and doesn't mean. Appreciate it. We want to bring in CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe, though. He is standing by at the White House to get the take from the White House, if we've heard any reaction at all. We know that the Justice Department filed a lawsuit against Texas about their abortion law. Any reaction from the administration at all?
Not yet, Anne-Marie, because they're reading it like we are still, and they're obviously focused on other things this morning, like this Bob Dole funeral. But do we still have Jessica?
Yes.
Okay, Jessica, I'm going to have a question for you in a second, if you don't mind, because I want to clarify one or two things as we look at this.
We lost Jessica. Sorry, Ed.
Never mind. Look, they tried to, because I wanted to clarify, if the court is now saying that the Biden administration itself cannot sue Texas, but these other abortion providers or other parties can, then obviously that removes the Biden administration from this. They had sued in September, arguing that this is an unconstitutional law on that idea that this isn't something that's actually being enforced by the state, but is being left in the hands of everyday Texans to enforce. And I had a question about whether this potentially means that, on a technicality at least, that the Supreme Court believes there has to be state involvement, whether they could toss the case. But look, you know, this ruling, as we await these two abortion rulings in whatever form they come, as she said, whether it's the Mississippi ruling or the Texas ruling, you know, remember, majority of the country still believes that abortion should be to some extent legal in at least some forms. That is not something, typically, that should influence or will influence a judicial ruling by these 9 justices, but it is something that came up in the arguments in the Mississippi case just last week, where they kept saying, if we strip away these protections and the legal precedent that has been in place, it is going to seriously question the validity of the court, and that is a warning and a concern that this White House has as well. But obviously this president, being a Democrat, being somebody who supports abortion rights, has said that he plans to fight this as much as he can in the courts, and he has asked various parts of the administration to look at how exactly they can provide assistance to women in Texas should their rights to an abortion procedure suddenly disappear. There has been talk of possible use of U.S. Marshals, for example, to escort people across state lines to other places, or somehow invoking other parts of the federal government to assist women who believe they need or want to be able to have an abortion procedure. But, you know, obviously this continues a legal case that we anticipate in some ways may be settled by the end of the Supreme Court term in June, and may linger on if these challenges in Texas continue into the next year.
All right. Vlad, I don't know if you have any questions for Ed. If not, I'm going to thank Ed and Jessica.
Yeah, I think we'll, you know, if we do get any reaction from the White House, Ed, we'll certainly look to you for updates. We appreciate it.
Yep.